I was the textbook definition of a velcro girlfriend. If I could have spent 24 hours a day physically fused to my boyfriend's side, I would have. I was in the middle of my nightly routine, clinging to his neck and begging for one more goodnight kiss, when a flicker of strange, translucent text drifted across my vision like a livestream comment section. Is this side character actually braindead? Can't she see the lead is doing a tactical lean back? For real. He doesn't even want to touch her. He only dated her to keep the crazy fans away. She really thinks she's the love of his life? Delusional. Almost there, guys. The real heroine is about to make her entrance. Our little stage 5 clinger is getting the boot any minute now. I stared at the floating words, my heart dropping into the pit of my stomach. My fingers, which had been laced tightly behind Cade's neck, slowly began to lose their grip. In the next second, Cade lifted his head. His eyes were dark, shadowed with a touch of the irritation that comes from being interrupted. His voice was a low, honeyed rasp. Why'd you stop? My heart gave a violent squeeze. My eyes darted around the room, unable to meet Cade's gaze. Under his piercing look, the kind that felt like he was peeling back layers of my skin, I reached down and gripped the silk sheets, whispering, "I'm just tired." Cade didn't say anything. He just watched me for a long beat, probably trying to figure out if I was glitching. After a moment, he rolled over, his back to me. His voice was flat, impossible to read. Then sleep. Staring at the broad, cold expanse of his back, I felt like I'd just swallowed a mouthful of ash. It was bitter and suffocating. I sat up and clicked off the lamp. As I lay back down in the dark, the words from that comment kept looping in my brain. I shifted toward the very edge of the mattress, leaving a vast, empty canyon of space between us. I did my absolute best to stay as far away from Kate as possible. I didn't dare press against him like a heat-seeking missile the way I usually did. Maybe if I stopped being so much, I thought, he'll hate me a little less. In the silence, I heard his steady, rhythmic breathing, but my mind was miles away. To be honest, it wasn't like I hadn't noticed. I wasn't that blind. Kate had always been lukewarm. Whenever I tried to get close, I felt that split second of tension in his frame. A subtle rigidity, but I loved him so much it made me stupid. I wanted to be his shadow, his accessory, his constant. Cade never complained out loud. But looking back, those tiny furrows between his brows, the way his jaw tightened, they were all flashing red lights. He didn't want this. I'd just been playing dumb. I'd lied and told him I was scared to live alone just so I could move into his place. Then I'd push for more, invading his bedroom until I was a permanent fixture, wrapping my limbs around him every night like an octopus. He hadn't kicked me out, sure, but his first instinct was always to resist. I'd just been so desperate to be with him that I'd filtered out the truth. Now, it seemed the comment was right. The air in the room felt heavy. I tossed and turned until the early hours of the morning, finally drifting into a fitful sleep. When I woke up, I realized I was curled into Cade's chest. My right arm locked firmly around his waist. His chest rose and fell in a slow, steady rhythm. After a few seconds of frozen realization, my soul nearly left my body. My body had gone into autopilot during the night, seeking him out like a habit I couldn't break. If he woke up and saw me like this, the annoyance would be written all over his face. Holding my breath, I moved with the agonizing slowness of a glacier, trying to retract my arm. I was inches away from a clean break, almost back to my side of the bed when a hand clamped firmly around my wrist. I looked up, slamming right into Cade's deep, bottomless eyes. He'd clearly just woken up. His voice was thick with sleep. "What are you doing?" Panicked, I yanked my hand back and shoved against his chest with both palms, trying to create distance. I stammered out the first excuse I could find. "And nothing. It's late. I have to get to work." Cade didn't respond. He just watched me with that expressionless mask. Even though I was avoiding his gaze, I could feel the atmospheric pressure in the room dropping. The lead is definitely in a bad mood now. Imagine waking up to a human leech every morning. God, who wants to be suffocated in their sleep? So annoying. She's a literal adult. Doesn't she understand boundaries? I dump her so fast, She's like sentient scotch tape. My eyes dropped to my lap, my lashes trembling. The comments made my face burn with a shame so hot I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. Just as I was about to scramble out of bed, Cade's low voice rumbled above me. It was impossible to tell if he was amused or angry. That goodnight kiss you skipped last night? You want to make it up now? Usually. If he missed a kiss because of a business trip or a late night, I'd be relentless. I'd make him pay it back with interest. 10 kisses for everyone missed. I was like a loan shark for affection. The first time I'd pulled that, Kate had almost laughed, though it sounded more like a sigh. Daisy, don't you think you're being a bit of a tyrant? I just blinked innocently at him, cupping his face and kissing him until I was satisfied. Maybe because it happened so often, he'd just grown used to it. He'd stopped fighting it. But, remembering how he'd flinched away last night, I knew he was just humoring me. He didn't want this. No, that's okay, I said quickly, waving my hands. I lowered my head, adding in a small, shaky voice, actually, we can skip the morning and evening kisses from now on. Cade stared at me. His gaze turned heavy, almost frighteningly dark. After what felt like an eternity, he spoke coldly, a sharp edge of spite in his tone.
Fine.
Suit yourself. I let out a quiet breath of relief, but at the same time, a dull ache started to throb in my chest. He really did see it as a chore, didn't he? By the time I finished getting ready, Cade had breakfast on the table. He was faster than me, already finished, sitting across the table and watching me with an unblinking intensity. Feeling his eyes on me, I started shoveling food into my mouth. Cade frowned. Slow down, he said curtly. I nodded, my cheeks puffed out like a squirrel, playing the role of the obedient student. 10 minutes later, it was time for the commute. Usually he'd drive me, but we were running a bit behind today. Those obnoxious comments popped up again, jumping with excitement. If I remember the script correctly, today is the big day, the leads meet today. Yep, the heroine starts at his company today. She's a powerhouse, high EQ, and most importantly, she knows how to give a man space.
Exactly.
The lead actually feels comfortable around her. Once he sees what a real woman looks like, he's going to drop this clingy brat without a second thought. My eyes dimmed. So today was the day he met his soulmate. My chest felt tight, the air in the room suddenly too thin to breathe. Seeing me standing there like a statue, Cade prompted, "Get in the car." I didn't move. "You go ahead. I'll just take an Uber." Cade didn't argue. He simply opened his door, stepped out, and walked over to me. He stood close, his searching gaze making me feel completely exposed. "You're mad," he stated. His voice was certain. "Because I dodged that kiss last night, right?" I looked up, forcing a blank expression. No, why be mad? I'd just finally seen the truth through the comment. I was a nuisance. I was just trying to fix it. Cade clearly didn't buy it. He stepped into my personal space. "Then why won't you let me drive you?" My eyes flickered away. I couldn't tell him the real reason, so I went with a half-baked lie. "I just think we should give each other some space. You know, boundaries." Cade froze. It was like I'd slapped him. He clearly hadn't expected those words to come out of my mouth. He didn't push further. He just gave me one long, searching look. "Fine, I'll pick you up after work." Without waiting for me to agree, he turned, got back in his car, and peeled out of the driveway. I was a mess all day. I couldn't focus on a single task. The comment kept chiming in, telling me Cade was driving the heroine home, that he'd forgotten all about me, mocking me for even hoping he'd show up. But I couldn't help it. My heart was still holding on to a shred of hope as I walked out of the office building. The spot where his car usually sat 10 minutes early was empty. I stared at the vacant pavement for a long time. As I was lost in thought, a bright, cheerful voice rang out behind me. "Hey, Daisy, what are you doing standing there? Can't catch a ride? The subway is going to be a nightmare during rush hour. I've got my bike. Want a lift?" I turned around. It was Nico, a trendy-looking guy who joined the team a few days ago. He was high energy, like a golden retriever in human form. I was about to say no out of habit, but I looked at the darkening sky and thought about Cade driving some other woman home. I nodded. "Sure, thanks, Nico." Nico, who was a good head taller than me, easily slid his spare helmet onto my head. No problem at all, but the moment the buckle clicked, a sharp, prolonged honk cut through the air. Before I could even process it, Cade was out of his car. He strode over, his face like a thundercloud, and grabbed my hand, interlacing his fingers with mine in a crushing grip. Then, he reached up and plucked the helmet off my head, the helmet I'd been wearing for all of 10 seconds. He handed it back to Nico, his tone casual, but dripping with territorial aggression. Hey there, I'm Daisy's boyfriend, Cade. Nico blinked, then let out a bit of a cocky grin. Whoa man, you're running a little behind for a boyfriend, aren't you? We've been off the clock for ages. Cade's eyes narrowed. Dangerously. The air between the two men was thick with sudden, sharp tension. I gently tugged at Cade's hand. His grip was starting to hurt. Cade, let's just go home. I waved a quick goodbye to Nico. See you tomorrow, drive safe. The ride home was brutal. Cade's expression was murderous. He walked so fast toward the car that I had to jog to keep up. Once we were inside, I opened my mouth to explain, but the words died in my throat. I noticed something on the dashboard. A small, incredibly cute, plush cat. Cade hated cats. He complained about the hair, the smell, the effort. And that plushie definitely wasn't there yesterday. He's such a cute little kitten. The heroine definitely put that there. Look at Daisy's face. She knows. Honestly, she should just bow out now. Save herself the embarrassment of being dumped. And she really thinks he was jealous back there. Please. No man wants to look like a cuck in front of his peers. That's ego, not love. I blinked slowly, fighting back the sting in my nose. The comment wasn't lying. He really had driven her home. He even liked her enough to let her put a cat toy, the one thing he claimed to loathe, right in his line of sight. At this rate, the we need to talk speech was coming any day now. I sniffled quietly and pressed myself against the passenger door, putting as much distance between us as the car allowed. If we were going to break up, I wanted to leave with some dignity. I didn't want to be the girl begging for scraps. That night, after eating the dinner Cade prepared in total silence, I waited until he was buried in work in his home office. I moved quietly, like a ghost, packing my essentials and moving them into the guest room. I didn't bother him. I didn't pester him to come to bed early. I didn't ask for a hug. I just took a shower and crawled into the guest bed alone. I tucked the covers tightly around myself. My feet were like blocks of ice. I realized then that I might never have anyone to warm them for me again. Just as I was spiraling into self-pity, there was a knock at the door. I nearly jumped out of my skin. I cracked the door open, just a sliver peeking out like a stray. Cade, did you need something? He didn't answer. He just stuck his foot in the doorframe to keep me from closing it. His eyes were dark, simmering with something that looked like genuine fury. Why the hell are you? Why the hell are you sleeping in the guest room? His voice was low, dangerously low, the kind of voice Cade used when someone had seriously tested his patience. I swallowed. Oh, I tightened my grip on the door. I just thought it would be better. Better for who? For both of us. The silence that followed felt fatal. Cade stared at me, then at the suitcase visible over my shoulder, then back at me. His jaw flexed. You packed. I instantly regretted not hiding it. It's not what it looks like. It looks exactly like you're moving out of our bedroom. Our bedroom. The words stabbed directly into my chest. Not yours. Not mine. Ours. The comments immediately exploded. OMG, the lead is mad. He's mad because she made his life easier. What kind of psychopath gets angry when the clingy girlfriend finally backs off? Male lead logic is broken. I lowered my eyes. Look, Cade. Get out. My brain short-circuited. What? Get out of the guest room. I blinked. What? I said get out. His expression darkened. Take your stuff and come back to our room. The comments paused. I paused. The universe paused. Why? For the first time all day, Cade actually looked offended. Offended. Like I had asked why the sky was blue. Because that's where you sleep. My heart stumbled. The comments immediately recovered. Don't fall for it. He's just maintaining appearances until the heroine arrives.
Exactly.
This is transitional boyfriend behavior. I stared at the floor.
No.
The hallway became so quiet I could hear my own pulse. Cade looked genuinely stunned. No. I think boundaries are healthy. The second the words left my mouth, I wanted to die. Because they sounded ridiculous coming from me. The woman who once cried because he had to attend a 3-day business conference. The woman who had literally bought matching toothbrushes after 2 weeks of dating. The woman who once called him 17 times because he took a nap and didn't answer. Boundaries.
Right.
Even the comments were laughing. She learned a new word. She's using it everywhere.
Help.
Cade didn't laugh. His eyes narrowed.
Who told you that?
What? Who told you we need boundaries? Nobody. Bullshit. I froze. His gaze sharpened. You've been acting weird for 2 days. You refuse to kiss me. You won't let me drive you. You won't sit next to me. You moved into the guest room. He stepped closer. Now you're talking like we're strangers. Every sentence landed like a hammer. I couldn't answer, because the answer sounded insane. The internet comments told me you're about to fall in love with another woman. Not exactly a conversation starter. Cade exhaled sharply. Then his eyes landed on my face. You've been crying. My hand immediately flew to my cheek. I haven't. You have. I haven't, Daisy. His voice softened slightly. Why are you crying? The kindness nearly broke me, because that's what made this harder. Cade wasn't cruel. He wasn't abusive. He wasn't even mean. He was just waiting for someone else. And somehow that hurt worse. I looked away. Did you drive someone home yesterday? The moment the words left my mouth, Cade blinked. What? A girl. His expression became confused. A girl. At your company. A girl. The vein in his forehead twitched. Do you have any idea how many women work at my company? The new one. The heroine. I almost said. Thankfully, I caught myself. The new employee. Recognition flashed across his face. Oh, my heart dropped. He remembered immediately. Of course he did. The comments started cheering. Here we go. The real heroine. Endgame arrives. Cade rubbed the bridge of his nose. Then he looked at me like he was trying to solve a murder. Daisy. Yes. The new employee is 56. I froze. The comments froze. She has 3 children. The comments froze harder. She brought homemade dumplings for the entire department. I stopped breathing. Cade pointed toward the living room. The cat plushie? I nodded weakly. The one on the dashboard? She gave one to every manager because her daughter sells handmade crafts online. Silence. Complete silence. The comments vanished.
Gone.
Not a single floating word appeared. For the first time since they'd shown up, they had absolutely nothing to say. Cade stared at me, then slowly looked toward the ceiling, like he was asking God for strength. You thought I was cheating on you with a middle-aged woman who sells dumplings. When he said it out loud, it sounded much worse. Maybe. He closed his eyes. I watched his shoulders start shaking. For one horrifying second I thought he was furious. Then I realized. He was laughing. Actually laughing. The sound was rare enough that I almost didn't recognize it. You're unbelievable. My face turned bright red. I wasn't sure.
You
packed a suitcase. I was emotional. You moved into the guest room. I was trying to be mature. You started treating me like a co-worker. I buried my face in my hands. Please stop talking. Cade laughed again. Then suddenly his expression softened. Completely. The amusement faded. Something warmer took its place. He stepped forward. One hand gently pulled my hands away from my face. Daisy. I reluctantly looked up. His eyes met mine.
Steady. Certain.
I don't know what got into your head. His thumb brushed under my eye. But if I wanted to leave you. He paused. Then sighed. You think I would have spent 2 years cooking your breakfast every morning? I froze. You think I would have bought an entire king-size mattress because you kept rolling on top of me in your sleep? My mouth opened. You think I would have memorized all your coffee orders? Another pause. Then, you think I would have learned how to braid hair? The comments suddenly returned.
Wait.
He learned what? He learned to braid hair? Flag detected. Emergency flag. I stared at him. Cade looked slightly embarrassed. I watched tutorials.
My soul nearly left my body.
Because it was true. 6 months ago, I'd complained about my hair. The next week, he'd somehow learned.
Badly. Crookedly.
But he'd learned. Oh. My eyes started watering again. Oh no. Cade immediately looked alarmed. Why are you crying now? I don't know. You absolutely know. I think I might be stupid. His mouth twitched. That's the first reasonable thing you've said all week. I gasped. He finally smiled. A real smile. Small.
Rare.
Beautiful. Then he reached forward, wrapped his arms around me, and pulled me against his chest. Instinctively, automatically, I clung to him. Like a koala. Like a backpack. Like a barnacle attached to a ship. Like every comment had accused me of being. For a moment neither of us moved. Then Cade buried his face in my hair, and muttered quietly, "Thank God." I blinked.
What?
His arms tightened. Another day of you avoiding me, and I was going to lose my mind. The comments exploded.
Wait.
He was the clingy one? Plot twist. Reverse Uno card. The lead has been holding it together this entire time. We have been bamboozled. I looked up.
Slowly.
You missed me?
Cade stared.
Then gave me a look so incredulous it was almost insulting. Daisy. Yes. You literally sleep on top of me. You think I got used to that for 2 years and suddenly didn't notice when you disappeared? The realization hit me like a truck. Maybe. Just maybe. The comments weren't as reliable as they claimed, and judging from how rapidly they started deleting themselves from existence, they had realized it too. The next morning, I woke up exactly where I always woke up. Half on top of Cade. One of my legs was tangled with his. My face was buried in his shoulder. And somehow, despite being a fully grown adult man, he had wrapped himself around me like I was a body pillow he was afraid of losing. I blinked sleepily. The comments appeared immediately. We have new information. Critical information. The male lead is the clinger. The male lead is absolutely the clinger. I almost laughed. For the first time, I didn't take anything they said seriously. Cade stirred beside me. Without opening his eyes, he tightened his arm around my waist. Stop moving. You aren't even awake. You just answered me. Still asleep. I snorted. The comments lost their minds. He's doing the fake asleep thing. That's a boyfriend exclusive move. This man is down horrendous. When Cade finally opened his eyes, he found me staring at him. His hand automatically reached up to brush my messy hair back. A familiar gesture. One he'd done so many times I'd stopped noticing it. Better? I knew exactly what he meant. Better than yesterday. Better than the panic. Better than believing I was about to lose him. I nodded. Better. His shoulders visibly relaxed, as if he'd been waiting for that answer. The comments suddenly became suspicious.
Wait.
If he's this obsessed with her, then where's the heroine? Good question. Where is the heroine? The comments began scrolling frantically.
Faster.
And faster. And faster. Until finally, one appeared.
Oh. Guys.
I think we got the wrong story. Silence. What? What do you mean wrong story? Another comment appeared. This isn't a romance where the male lead leaves his girlfriend. This is the romance where the side characters think they're side characters. The room went completely quiet. Even the comments seemed horrified.
No.
No way. No freaking way. Then the final comment appeared. The heroine is Daisy. The male lead is Cade. They've been the main couple the entire time. And just like that, the floating text vanished.
Gone.
No dramatic exit. No goodbye. No explanation. Just gone. Forever. I stared at the empty air, then burst out laughing. Cade looked alarmed. What? Nothing. You're laughing by yourself. I know. That's concerning. Probably. He narrowed his eyes. I kissed him before he could interrogate me. For once, I was the one who surprised him. His expression froze, then immediately softened. Thought we weren't doing morning kisses anymore. I changed my mind. Convenient. Very.
He kissed me again.
Again. Then looked completely unrepentant about it. Interest. What? You owe me. For what? Missed kisses. I stared. You kept count. Cade looked offended. Of course I kept count. The realization hit me. The man who had once called me a tyrant for charging kiss interest had apparently been secretly keeping his own records. I laughed so hard I nearly fell off the bed. Years later, I would still remember that moment. Not because of the comments. Not because of the misunderstanding. Not because of the fear. But because it was the moment I finally stopped trying to read Cade's mind and started trusting what he actually showed me. Love wasn't hidden in dramatic speeches. It was in breakfast already waiting on the table, a spare jacket carried around in case I got cold, a man learning to braid hair from online tutorials, a king-sized mattress purchased because I slept like a drunk octopus, and a boyfriend who looked personally offended when I tried to move into the guest room. As for Nico, he eventually became one of our closest friends. The 56-year-old employee who sold dumplings? Her daughter's business exploded online, and Cade ended up investing in it. The cat plushie? It stayed on the dashboard for years. Mostly because every time Cade tried to remove it, I laughed. And every time I laughed, he'd quietly put it back. Some battles simply weren't worth winning. 10 years later, on a rainy evening, I found myself curled against my husband's side on the couch. Our daughter was asleep upstairs. Our son was pretending to be asleep upstairs. And the cat plushie, now faded and slightly crooked, still sat in the car. I looked up from my book. Cade.
Emma?
Do you think I was clingy when we first started dating? He lowered his newspaper, looked at me, then laughed so hard, he nearly dropped it. First started.
I smacked his arm. He caught my hand,
Kissed my knuckles, and pulled me closer, right where I'd always belonged. Daisy. Yeah, I never minded. And for once, I believed him, without a single doubt.